Hello inspiring Charitam fans. How are you doing? We bring stories that are unique and inspirational. This is a story about a man who gets destroyed by his son. This is a struggle of a man who is struggling to cope with the betrayal of the two people he least expected. Let's hear it. Alexei had quite a tragic life. He was successful and had money. He wasn't ultra-rich but was quite a reputed real estate agent in the Lublin area of Poland. He lost his wife, Zofia, to cancer, when his son, Albin, was 8 years old. He didn't marry or date anyone seriously. He focused on his son's upbringing and did everything for him. Albin was the center of his world. Alexei met Hannah at a local conference. Hannah was an intern in a local news channel and was quite promising in her professional career. Hannah, 24, was 16 years younger than Alexei, 40. Despite the age difference, they got along quite well. They went for few casual dates and they seemed to like each other's company. They soon started seriously dating. After a year of dating, Alexei thought it was the right time to introduce Hannah to his son, Albin. Albin was 19 years back then. He recently moved to Warsaw to pursue higher education. When he came home for his holidays and met his father's girlfriend, he was a bit embarrassed. He told his father that Hannah was much younger than him. He however told that if his father was happy, he does not have a say here. Things looked good for the next couple of years. Albin visited often and built a strong friendship with Hannah. Alexei by now proposed Hannah, and she was overjoyed to say yes. From the outside, it looked like a perfect family. But there was a storm waiting to ravage the world of Alexei. Sometime after knowing each other, Albin and Hannah developed a good friendship. They had the same taste in music and they bonded over the songs of Zakopauer, a Polish music band. Their friendship slowly turned to something else, and they were immensely attracted to each other. Albin and Hannah gave in to the urge and started sleeping together. Hannah already moved in together with Alexei by then. They were practically in a relationship and Albin was betraying his father. Hannah and Albin decided that they want to be together. They crafted a plan to do that. Hannah started fighting with Alexei on everything. They were to be married soon, but Hannah of course had other plans. After just a few weeks of instigating some fights at home, Hannah moved out. Just days after that, she called off the engagement over a text message. Alexei was clueless. He was doing everything in his power to win Hannah back. He had no clue what wrong he did. This was the first time he loved someone after his wife passed away. He was quite depressed. He just could not figure out what went wrong. Hannah simply went no contact with Alexei. The plan was that Hannah would move to Warsaw and would move in with Albin. After few years or so, they would tell Alexei that they kept in contact and fell in love. But life is funny, you don't get your way every time. 2 months after the incident, Alexei was still struggling. He blamed himself for the relationship failure. He spoke to Albin, and he convinced Alexei that age difference was the reason for the relationship failure. Hannah might have wanted a different thing and it was not the fault of Alexei. Albin, however, never visited his father after the incident. Tired of all these, Alexei decided to spend a few days with his son. He bought a flat for his son in Warsaw and Albin was staying there for the last few years. He had a job now. He thought spending some time with his son would help him rejuvenate. He decided to surprise him and walk into his apartment. He had no idea what he was going to see. He went to his apartment in Warsaw multiple times and spent many weekends with his son before. In fact, once he was accompanied by Hannah as well in past. It was not a big deal. He reached in the early hours of Saturday in Warsaw. He had the key but decided to wait for Albin to answer the bell. After a couple of tries, when no one turned, he thought Albin might not be home and opened the door with his key. As he was moving across the hall, he heard Albin's voice. He was surprised, but then heard another voice giggling and moaning. He understood and kept quiet. He didn't want to obviously embarrass Albin and started to walk to another room. But then he realized he has heard the voice. He looked at the shoes and dresses around the house. It was unmistakably of Hannah's. His heart was pumping in fear and anger. He couldn't wait longer and knocked on the bedroom. There was a silence for few seconds. Albin had no idea his father was at the home. He thought someone intruded and was ready to fight. But when Alexei pushed open the door, his jaw dropped. There was Albin, standing naked. In his bed, was Hannah draping the bedsheet. Alexei was fuming in anger. He was on top of his rage. He understood how he was played by his son and fiancée. He completely lost it. He loved his son, he did everything for him but could not imagine such kind of betrayal. Alexei stood there in utter silence. They tried to make some excuses, but after a few failed attempts, Albin realized that Alexei could not be fooled anymore. He broke down and confessed that Hannah and he fell in love. They were having an affair behind his back for 2 years. They didn't want to hurt him and thus Hannah broke off with him. Albin and Hannah kept apologizing and said it was not his fault, but they fell in love. Alexei stood there in total disbelief. He felt all his love for his son evaporated. He felt immense anger. He wanted to kill everyone for making him miserable. But how can a father harm a son? But he knew he could not forgive his son. He told him to vacate the apartment within a month. Alexei loved Albin but knew it will be beyond his power to forgive him at that moment. He just told him that he would not like to hear from him again. Alexei left the apartment. Albin rushed behind him to apologize. Hannah was crying all the time. He didn't even look at Albin once again and just left. Coming back, he changed his will and disowned Albin from every property he had, out of rage. He went no contact. Albin tried reaching to his father many times, but he never got a response. He tried visiting but was always turned away. Alexei forgave his son. He was the only family he had after 2 years. He gave a few of the inherited property to him after. Albin and Hannah had a son by that point. Alexei made it clear that even though he forgave him, they can never be a family again. He remained in no contact with Albin. Alexei did meet a wonderful woman a few years later. She was a musician and they fell in love. They have 2 young children and Alexei is happy for many years. Life didn't treat Albin well though. He kept losing jobs but sustained with the financial help from Alexei. His guilt consumed him. Hannah cheated on him too and left for Germany with their son for another man. Albin remained a crying mess for many months. Hannah however came back, gave custody of the son to Albin. She wanted to travel the world with her new boyfriend. Alexei finally forgave his son and welcomed him to his house along with his grandson. But their relationship never returned. Albin has again moved to Lublin. None of them have seen Hannah after that. Betrayal by family is the worst pain one can inflict upon someone. Albin didn't only betray his father, but manipulated and fooled him. The utter disrespect was too much to put up with. I am glad that Alexei is finally happy. What do you think about the story? Please share the feedback and your suggestions. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon to get a notification whenever a new video is uploaded. Please check out the other videos on the channel as well. Stay healthy and happy. Have a great rest of the day wherever you are. Thank you so much for watching.